Today we are jumping into Warzone and we're watching some Verdansk gameplay while we chat about some leaks that came after my video from yesterday. So if you haven't seen, I covered a bunch of Verdansk leaks, but also some interesting news about the game and AI and even some stuff about skill-based matchmaking from an exclusive interview. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all of it, and do me a favor, like and subscribe, because we're getting so close to 40,000 subscribers, and every subscription helps a ton. You guys have no idea, especially with Verdansk around the corner. We need all the help we can get to make sure these gameplays and news and updates, everything is just on time and very reliable. But let's start off with the playtest. There was a playtest of Verdansk, and this was talked about by Ghost of Hope, Charlie Intel, Joe, J-God. I mean, so many people have talked about it. Now, we don't know who was exactly invited, although there seems to be some hints I saw on the Repulse podcast that possibly... I'm only saying this because he said I can't talk about it. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Hunter TV possibly played it. Love Hunter. He's a great dude. And also, he's a guy for the casual players that will give honest feedback, thinking about the player base and not just, you know, content creators or YouTubers. You know, he plays the game and he's very good at the game, but he plays it with everybody in mind when he makes his content. So let's talk about some of the things that were said. So apparently there's been two playtests. One last year and one a few weeks ago. And from my understanding, the playtests were different. In the first playtest had some new POIs and stuff like that, along with redeploy balloons and, you know, essentially the same mechanics we have right now, and the quality of life updates we have right now. The latest one they played, which we talked about in our video, had things like the train station was closed up, stadium was closed up, but it was open around it, so there was no hole in the top. You know, small things like that. And there was no new POIs. It was exactly the same as OG Verdansk, you know, like you're watching right now, except I think this is Cold War gameplay, because I'm using the OTS with Expel and Savage, which classic trio right there. But I'm gonna go through some of the other tweets. So we have rumors. I talked about yesterday the HDR coming back, but apparently not only the HDR is set to come back, but we have rumors of the AMAX and the Kilo returning at some point. We don't know when. Could be season 3, you know, on launch, because that is when this map is supposed to be coming back. Like I said, other video. But this one is looking promising that it could be coming back season 3 or possibly season 3 reloaded, which a Kilo and an AMAX return would be great. I also heard a rumor about the Graw. I don't know if that's true, though. I've seen no one actually confirming that. That might just be, you know, some wishful thinking. So then, you know, in other news, the Gaming Revolution, which if you guys don't know him, he's a zombies leaker, content creator. He's talked about a ton of stuff about Warzone lately and his feelings on Warzone. And he tweets out, the quicker Warzone gets discontinued, the better. Verdansk won't do much and will end up being a wasted budget and efforts, basically being drained from other modes, and it would have been better spent on zombies. Right now, we're not even getting intro cutscenes, and instead, money is being spent on the mode that won't last much longer. Zombies will outlive Warzone, and that's the truth. Now, I think there's some validity to what he's saying, but I also disagree, and I'm gonna talk about that. So first off, I actually started my Call of Duty, you know, background in zombies. If it wasn't for zombies, I probably would have never even gotten into Call of Duty the way I have. My first COD was COD 4, but I didn't buy it. And then in school, everybody was playing World at War, and, you know, I kept hearing about zombies. I didn't buy my first COD until Modern Warfare 2. And then Modern Warfare 2, to me, it was fun, but I wasn't good at it. I didn't know what, you know, a diamond that game was until later on and going back and playing it. So the first true COD that I got fully involved with was Black Ops 1, where I was prestiging, I was unlocking things, I was doing the wager matches, but I was heavily playing zombies. And, you know, I did everything to play zombies. I loved it so much. And I think a lot of people share that same experience where their first zombies experience was Black Ops 1, especially since all the World at War maps were on it. Actually, something you may not have known, that the Hardened Edition, which was like, I think it was also called the Prestige Edition. I can't remember. If you bought that, it came with all the World at War maps remastered. So it was a big deal to buy that. And me being a little broke boy at the time, I had traded in an Xbox 360 and a bunch of games just to get the newish version of the Xbox 360 Slim that didn't get the red rings, and got myself Black Ops 1. So that was the only game I had, which is kind of funny. That's the same way I kind of play COD now. It's like it's the only game I have. Most console players can only have it because of the size of the game, practically the size of the hard drive. But I ended up going and like getting some USB drive that made the game think that you had a Prestige Edition, so that way I could play the World at War maps. Like, it was like a hack. And that's how I played my Zombies edition, was through that. So Zombies was my go-to, and I played all the DLCs. I did every Easter egg, and I love Zombies. But do I think Warzone is taking away from it? Truthfully, not really. Warzone integrated zombies in Verdansk multiple times when there was no zombies experience available until Cold War. Cold War zombies, although a lot of people love it, is not, in my eyes, a great experience. It's a very dumbed down version of zombies. Very guided, hold your hand. Zombies are not that intense. And high rounds on that were pretty easy. Were they harder than Black Ops 3? Yes. But they weren't too bad. And you can argue certain maps in other games were just as easy. That's fine. I'm just saying, in my eyes, Cold War wasn't that hard. So, now looking at Warzone now, yes, it's died down a bit. But we also haven't gotten content in the game for maybe a year, right? We've had the same map. Rebirth Island has pretty much been the go-to for most casual players. Big map is boring as hell. The only thing that's giving it content is the ranked mode, and that's still like, if you're a console player, like, you turn crossplay off because they've given up on the anti-cheat. I mean, like, the game is in shambles. So it's not just zombies that's suffering right now. I see it as all of the game suffering. And it's funny because a lot of us wanted this Microsoft acquisition to save the game, but it's not doing that. In fact, when Microsoft acquired Activision and Blizzard, the first thing to go was half of the employees. They fired a ton of people. So all of that manpower was gone. And maybe you would think to yourself, oh, well, maybe those people were useless. Maybe they were, you know, unnecessary, right? A lot of people like to point at, like, Elon Musk firing all the people at Twitter and saying to them, you know, before he fired them, what did you do in the last week? It's a very fair argument. Except, apparently these people were doing something. Because now you have all these people coming around and going, oh, well, we can't do anything, so we're using AI to, you know, make the game better. We're using AI to add in-game art. And it was actually confirmed by Charlie Intel here that Activision has confirmed in-game content in Call of Duty is AI generated. Our team uses generative AI tools to help develop some in-game assets, Activision says, as a part of a disclosure on Steam, because now Steam requires you to say that if you use AI. And we've known this is a thing. Now they're just being forced to, you know, tell us, essentially. So things like art, things like certain videos, or even some skins or maps could be AI generated, you know, the layouts, and then the developers go in and help bring that to life. The problem with that is things are uncreative. They're all generic. They're all very basic. So we need to keep all of this in mind. By the way, we're at about the halfway mark here, and I just want to say, guys, if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and also go follow me on Twitch. I'll have a link down below. I'm trying to grow my Twitch before Verdansk drops, and I want to start booting up streams again and talking with you guys. So if you want a chance to be in a YouTube video like this one, where I have chat on screen, that is what you do. Go follow the Twitch and make sure you got the notifications on so that you can be a part of that. Now, that all being said, that is why I think Warzone isn't killing zombies. I think the game in general is currently not creative enough, not original enough, and they're releasing Verdansk purely because they've run out of ideas. I mean, we know about Avalon being a map that could be coming out in the future. But as of right now, I think it might not even come out because we're past the point of a hype behind a lot of these maps. You know, unless they change certain POIs, because like Hacienda's in there and stuff like that. It's like they're gonna have to change those POIs to not be Black Ops 6 related. I don't know if they'll do that. I think a lot of people are tired of Black Ops 6. So I don't blame Gaming Revolution for feeling that way, the Gaming Revolution. I just think it's a little misguided. If the game feels bad, it's not just because of Warzone. Warzone's just been unsupported for the last year. I think it's because all across the board, the game is just being unsupported. It's very sad to see that zombies, multiplayer, and Warzone of all alike are frustrating the player base, and all of the player base agrees. No one is celebrating this game. So keep that in mind. Next up, Tom Henderson, who is a great news outlet for almost anything gaming. He runs Insider Gaming, and he did an interview with one of, and he didn't say who, but one of the devs, I believe, over at Activision when he went to a DICE event, and they talked about skill-based matchmaking and how it can be, you know, implemented better, how it's currently implemented, you know, the whole situation with the white papers and so on and so forth that we were told, you know, this is the truth and everything else, but everyone takes that with a grain of salt, including myself, because how do you trust a big corporation that's lied to you for years saying skill-based matchmaking isn't even in the game, and now all of a sudden they're fine with talking about it? So, oh my god, man, the Kar 98, I miss it. Hit your shots, Rara. There you go, at least you hit the armor. But so, oh, he actually does name him. His name is Olsen. So he asked Olsen to explain Sbmm for dummies, which he then said consists of 3 different systems: matchmaking, team balancing, and MMR, which is matchmaking rating or skill rating. And he pretty much says, and I'm gonna try to read the article here, so don't mind me looking up, because that's where all my tabs are as I'm reading. It says MMR is a number of the matchmaker and team balancer used. The MMR system takes into consideration the ratings of everyone in the match and updates your rating based on the relative performance in COD. Olsen said that MMR is more volatile in the mid-range, which is an issue that could be addressed. He said that COD players who requested their data from Activision are likely seeing that volatility too, which, if you didn't see, Exclusive Ace did a whole thing where you could request your MMR through the Activision website and get all your data so that you could know, you know, the state of the game. He says, with their MMR bouncing around without a clear indicator as to why, but that's why I believe players should openly be able to see their MMR for transparency and so that they can see what's going on. He noted that preventing people from seeing their MMR or making you data requested from Activision leads to a lack of faith and ultimately leads to conspiracy theories that we often see flooding the internet. Which, that is exactly what happened when everybody started, you know, trying to see their MMR, because we were all trying to figure out how it works. He says, in quotes, contrary to what some players believe, you really don't have to try the hardest every match. If you go off meta, your MMR will adapt after a few games. The matches will get easier. The exception would be if you're playing low population modes that attract high skill players, or during open betas. For example, you probably shouldn't expect a game mode like Domination, a game mode that has traditionally attracted higher skill players, to get much easier. Speaking of conspiracy theories, Olsen also pointed out that COD's Sbmm gets mistaken for EOMM, which is engagement-based matchmaking, or engagement-optimized matchmaking. And actually, I've had this argument with a lot of players. Everyone says, oh, it's EOMM, not skill-based matchmaking. Including, like, my friend Expel. He believes it's EOMM. However, it is SBMM. And that's because of the MMR. So, they're saying it right here. It is not engagement optimized matchmaking. But it really is just an MMR that is highly responsive and volatile. Which he's essentially saying it doesn't work well. You know, it punishes players. I'll continue reading. What's clear is that SBMM in COD and other live service games is likely never going to go away. There are fundamental systems to keep the game alive, and thriving by keeping players around has become more apparent recently following Activision's clampdown on VPNs and patching SBMM get-around methods like two-boxing. A method where players would join us, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to explain two-boxing, and we already know what it is. The issue with COD in particular seems to be the transparency with players, and they should be rewarded for being good at the game. Be that XP bonuses, as Olsen suggested. Now, this is important. He sits there and explains that he thinks if you are in a higher, you know, skill base and you are playing against harder players, that XP-wise, maybe you should be rewarded more. They already punish players for playing smaller maps. If you didn't know, like if you play Shipment or Nuketown or whatever the small maps are, there's actually an XP decrease. If you play larger maps, there's an XP increase. So if you get a kill, it's worth 25% of what it normally is worth in Nuketown. If you play, let's say, that big snowy map, I can't think of the name of, in Black Ops, that one will give you 110% XP per kill. So that just goes to show, and obviously that's per mode. I mean, I'm talking TDM purely right now because there's other factors to take into that, like if you're standing on a hard point or standing on domination flag. But that is the point, is that XP is already manipulated based on what mode you're playing, based on the map you're playing. So why can't we implement that into, you know, the conversation with skill base? Which I think is a fucking amazing point, and a honestly great one. So finally he wraps up and says, finding a solution to appease everyone when it comes to SBMM is definitely a complex issue, but one that should be talked about more at length. And that was Insider Gaming interviewing Charlie Olsen, which they said they are going to interview him in a podcast possibly in the future. So I'd be very interested to see that. If you guys want to see me, you know, watch that and react to some clips over on the Twitch, or even possibly make a breakdown video of some of the highlights of that podcast, you guys let me know in the comment section. But this is the state of Call of Duty, and I really hope they look at everything that is going on, how the player base is feeling, and start taking these things into consideration and stop, you know, doing this ass backwards. I saw a lot of the comments on my last video were thankful I was in a more positive attitude as talking about Verdansk rather than negative, because it's not only do I want to be positive and see the game flourish, but I want to see like a game that I can enjoy, because I love playing games and Call of Duty is my go-to. Ooh, nice double there. That OTS, man. I forgot how fast the TTK is in this back in the day. But yeah, there's a lot of things I would like to see return. Limited time modes. Maybe a mode for, you know, ranked players has more health versus the normal one has this type of health. I think that's things that we need to consider when talking about Warzone. We've changed so many things since Verdansk, and I think a lot of players that left after Verdansk might return, but instantly get slapped in the face for not being able to, you know, use Omni movement or, you know, jump backwards and slide at the same time. I think there's going to be a lot of fatigue, and we need to find a way to find that balance. So, man, me, Expel, and Savage are dominating this lobby right now at the end here. So yeah, I think those are all very important to keep in mind when you're asking yourself, like, what is going to happen with this game? And hopefully they're keeping all this in mind. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. Little afraid. Little afraid. I want Verdansk to save Warzone. I definitely don't want Warzone to die. If it does, it does. And I'll go find another game as I always do. Or another FPS Battle Royale will pop up. Like the rumored Battlefield one that's coming. Wow, that was almost the end of the game. I just kind of clutched that low key. But Battlefield's BR could absolutely flop. But if Warzone dies, might be the only outlet for all those players to go to when it comes to BR. Because as much as you might not like it, right? If you're a COD player and you strictly play zombies or multiplayer, Battle Royales are something we all enjoy. Battle Royales are something that kind of has shaped gaming in the last few years. What a cheeky spot. And I don't think Battle Royales are going anywhere. It's more so whether or not studios are willing to support Battle Royales. And it's a little sad, like, in one way, that every Battle Royale has to be a live service. But, I mean, that is the reality. Like, you can't have a Battle Royale without other players. And, you know, it's tough to think about. Ooh, look at this jump up. Ooh, sneaky. Can I whip him? Can I give him a flick? I don't do it. We're at 17 kills right now. Let's just take a moment here to appreciate, though, how simple the game was and how fun. I feel like the minimap was so much better, readable, and, like, you didn't need any insane audio and stuff. Like, granted, I'm very happy I was able to create an audio app for everybody, which if you don't know about, raraaudioapp.com, and it improves Warzone's audio right now, like, tenfold. I have a bunch of streamers, a bunch of content creators, and a bunch of players that use it. 2,000 users at this moment, and growing. And we've only been out a month. So it goes to show, like, there's a lot of people with bad audio that want better audio on both console and PC. You need a little bit of workaround with the console, but at least we can do it, you know? I hope that kind of opens it up. We're in the final fight here, and it's a 1v3, and I think this guy's in the crane. This is such a throwback to watch, though. Like, I don't know about you guys, I get very nostalgic watching old Verdansk gameplay. There was a lot of vehicle usage. If you guys didn't see, go back and watch, right? If you were just listening to me, go back and watch how we use the vehicles. It truly, like, is mind-boggling to see. I'm just shooting everything. Oh, he's cracked in there. What's X doing? Oh, he threw an armor box and killed him with the armor box. Oh my god. Well, guys, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.